Okay, a warm welcome to our guests of tonight, Joshua, Gaby, and Simon, and Helen again. So I will pass the time to Joshua for the sections. Joshua, over to you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Xian virtual community event. I'm Youngyo Joshua Cho, and I am the moderator for today's session. I'm the 2017 Asian Future Leader Scholarship Program cohort, and now I work as an associate at NH Investment and Securities, which is Korea's leading investment bank. Today, we are going to be talking about career path shifts and changes. So we're going to have around 30-minute session with the speakers, followed by about 25 minutes Q&A session. And for today's event, I asked the Xian team to make up more time for the Q&A session so that our scholars can interact more with the speakers and hear what they want to know about. So please do not miss your great opportunity to talk to the alumni speakers. To help you in navigating the future career, we are joined by 3 Xian alumni who have shifted their careers. Ms. Gaby began her career working for the Singapore Police Force, and now she's a project manager at Google. Mr. Simon received his master's degree in engineering in Tokyo, and now he is working for a private equity firm in Shanghai. Ms. Helen earned her bachelor's degree in English translation, and now she became an UI UX design and technology consultant. Gaby, Simon, and Helen, thank you so much for joining. So let's start with the first question. Ms. Gaby, Ms. Helen, Mr. Simon, could you briefly introduce yourself? What are you currently working for, and what did you do before now?
Happy to go first. Hi, everyone. I'm Gaby from Singapore. I'm from 2017 Xian cohort. I did my master's at Zhejiang University. So a shout out to anybody who studied at Zhejiang. Before doing my master's, like Joshua was saying, I worked in law enforcement for about 7 years. After graduating and coming back to Singapore, I decided to pivot and move out of public service. So I moved to tech. I was at Facebook, where I was a DevOps project manager before moving to Google, where I'm currently at. I'm an incident manager and the Google Play and Android team. So my job at a very high level is keeping the Google Play Store and the Android ecosystem safe and keeping developers and users happy. So nice. Looking forward to chatting with everybody else the rest of the session.
Thank you. By the way, Gaby, I want to ask like a small question, which is like, what is DevOps? I don't know what that is. So.
Oh, so sorry. Of course, developer operations.
Pardon?
Developer operations.
Okay, thanks.
Thank
and
you.
Next, Ms. Helen, could you please introduce yourself?
Of course. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Helen. I was born in China, and now I'm currently working in Tokyo as a senior delivery consultant in Deloitte Thomas Group. So for my career path change, it started since I was studying my university in China. I studied my bachelor degree in English translation and international economy and trade. And after that, I came to Japan and pursued my master degree in media design. So after that, I became a UI UX designer in a Japanese agency for 4 years. And it was not until last year that I decided to change my career. So now I'm working as a consultant now. Thank you again for joining us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Simon?
Hi, everyone. My name is Simon, and I am in the Xian 2016 cohort, and I study in University of Tokyo. I joined the investment banks in 2017 after I graduated from Japan. I worked 4 years in Hong Kong, and in last year, I joined a private equity firm in Shanghai, and we also have another office in Hong Kong. We are a private equity focused on healthcare investment in Greater China area. Thank you, and looking forward to speaking with you.
Okay, so that was a brief introduction of the speakers themselves. And the next question is, why did you decide to pursue a new dream? And what was the event, moment, or thing that influenced you the most? So who wants to go first?
Happy to go. Happy to go first.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, thanks, Joshua. That is the million-dollar question. So for me, coming from the police force, I guess the key takeaway was that it was a very poor culture fit for myself. Like I didn't enjoy the bureaucracy, I didn't enjoy the hierarchy, and I think in public service, there's a certain tendency to prefer the maintaining the status quo over innovating. So I really didn't enjoy the culture. And another really tactical thing I did was look at all the female leaders in my organization. Because I see them as a reflection of where I'll probably be like in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time. And I realized that I didn't want to be any one of them, like not what I want in my career. Very poor work-life balance, and at least in Singapore during my time, it was a lot like a boys' club. So like for women to climb the ladder, a lot of sacrifices had to be made. So I didn't see myself doing that, which is why I applied for Xian. So like I would say Xian was my turning point. And after doing my master's, I came back and I thought about finding a company whose culture fit or whose culture resonated more with me. So that's why I looked to tech firms, because I really wanted a place that was very open, more similar to my own personality and like what I want in a career. So yeah, so I guess that was like my motivation and biggest turning point.
So does that mean that your motivation was to escape from that organization, not to pursue a new dream?
Very strong push factor and very strong pull factor. I really want to move into tech. So
I see. And what about Simon?
Mine was a very interesting story. Like actually, I was studying chemical engineering while I went to University of Tokyo, and then actually in the year of 2016, Baixin organized a summer camp in Tokyo, and then they invited lots of like speakers, guesters, and guest lecturers, and they all the majority of them from actually the financial industry. And then I speak with them, and I think that maybe I should try something different. And then I started looking for jobs in financial industry. And then after maybe I think 3 to 4 months exploration, I found that's actually the first of the things is that I like that area more. The second thing that I maybe can do better in that area. So I just starting my job hunting, and then after a year, I just found my this is really my where I'm passionate, and to be very honest, compared to the traditional the manufacturing industry and also the chemical industry, the compensation in finance is really is better. So I just choose this industry after I graduated from the Tokyo, and basically not only the conversations I made with the guest lecturers from Xian summer camp, and also the continuous actually the exchange of idea, and also the follow up conversation with them also helped me a lot.
Yeah, it's really nice to hear that the Xian summer camp influenced you a lot. When it comes to choosing your career, because it also influenced myself a lot. I didn't choose to come to finance because of the Xian summer camp, but I chose which kind of organization I should work with. When it comes to this question, I've always thought about Xian summer camp, because actually one of the speaker, Gaby, was my team member during the summer camp. She was the best member, best friend, and through the summer camp, I realized that working with people who are generous and open-minded influences me a lot in terms of my own performance. So instead of like choosing to go to somewhere like super competitive, I'd rather choose to go where like values the harmony of the members, and like that's how I ended up like coming to my team right now. So like, yeah, thank you for sharing, Simon. And next, Helen, could you share us your own experience?
Sure. So actually, Baixin also influenced me a lot. I also made a lot of good friends during the summer camp, and those friends helped me out while I needed some advice for job hunting. And for me, the reason why I chose to change my career was that there was not enough to learn back in that little design agency. So I stayed in that agency for 4 years already, and as a UI UX designer. So I feel that there was not much to learn at that time at the very end. So I would like to challenge myself in a new field. Maybe just change environment can help me a lot. That's what I think at that time. But the awareness came very early, but to take action, it took me a lot of time, because as a designer, I need to prepare the personal portfolio, and I wanted to make it good. So I wanted to make it in all Chinese, English, Japanese, and I wanted to even make it into a website. So the preparation was pretty long and it's tedious. You know, lack of action, it's really hard for you to really start it to apply for any job. So it was until the time that I feel I was okay with everything and I read a book. There was a sentence in the book that said, if there's no change, you just consump your heart. So this phrase really helped me to realize that I'm consumpting myself. I'm just consuming my life for nothing. If this is an action that I should take, it doesn't matter now or later. Why don't I just start to look for a job? So that was really a big shift for me to really take action to look for a job, and to choose the reason why I chose to work in a consulting company was that I feel the design skill that I had and all the UI UX experience that I had can really help me to get into this field. And this is a field that I'm really interested in. I would like to know how consultants think. Their way of thinking is really difficult and very, how to say that, very far from me at that time, because I tend to think just randomly out of nowhere. I need more organized thinking. So I chose to challenge myself as a consultant later. Yes, that's pretty much my story.
I see. So like, to be honest, like when I first read your like short bio, Helen, I thought that like when you are going to talk about the career shifts, I thought that you're going to talk about from the English translation and what international economy to the UI UX designer or consultant, but now you're more focusing on from the designer career to the consultant career, right?
Yes.
So like how is it like really different as a UI UX designer and UI UX consultant?
I would say that for hands-on work, when I was a designer, I spend like 80% of my time doing work, creating something. But as a consultant, I started to spend more time analyzing things, like to diagnose the problem. And the output might be design itself, but 80% of my time now is just analyzing stuff.
I see. So like even though like the terms might sound similar, like UI UX, because it's used the same words UI UX, but the work, you know, it's inherently very different.
Exactly.
Sounds like.
Exactly. So a funny episode is that before I didn't have much time and I didn't have much skill to use Excel, PowerPoint. Most of my time spent on design tools like Figma and Adobe Set. Now I had to learn a lot about Excel. I have to learn all those shortcuts that I've never touched with. That took me a lot of time to like master it.
I see. I can like feel that like the scholar is gonna ask you a lot of questions about like how did you learn Excel and blah blah blah. Okay, so let's move on to the third question. It's about the challenges in the journey. So what was the biggest challenge in changing career and how did you overcome it? Who wants to go first?
Maybe still Gaby to the first.
Okay.
Okay, sure. Happy to have like to follow the pattern. Yeah, biggest challenge. I think this is a very good question. I think the same advice that I give to like even my friends or like colleagues who are looking to change jobs, I tell them that job hunting is a marathon. Like at least for my in my own experience. Um, you'll meet all sorts of people in the process, like all sorts of recruiters, all sorts of hiring managers. People are not equally nice. Some people are not so great. Some people ghost you. And I think a huge part of the process, like you'll start to question and like doubt yourself. Yeah, that's a huge part of the process. You need to be really just be ready for rejection. Like I have people telling me, like friends telling me, oh, I got rejected like by one job. I was like, this is nothing. Like this is part and parcel. Like this is part of the process. You need to be ready for rejection. And after switching jobs, I realized that there are a lot of reasons why you can get rejected for a job. Like all sorts of things happen. For example, like maybe a job posting is only there as a placeholder. They already have somebody they've identified, but to meet legal requirements, they need to post, like put a job listing online to show that it's publicly available. Or like maybe they already have some candidate and you applied really late, but they've already finalized like deciding between three candidates by the time you apply. So like when somebody says no, it doesn't mean you're not good enough. Like there can be so many reasons why. So yeah, like get ready for a marathon. It's be ready for rejection and don't doubt yourself. So for me, how I overcame that is, I mean, I was a former police officer, so I'm extremely thick-skinned, and so that's one thing. Another thing is, I think Xian, like as Simon, Joshua, and Helen have been saying, like this Xian community is amazing. When I was doing my masters, like I had like my close knit of girlfriends in the university, and people that I could throw ideas around with, and people who were great for like self-esteem, as well as like just be there to support you throughout this journey. So believe in yourself. So like that's all the soft part, but of course get the hard skills covered, like be extremely tactical. If you're applying for a certain industry, so for me I wanted to apply tech, so like I read up everything I could on the internet about the hiring process, about the kind of questions, about how to do a really solid resume that reflects everything that recruiters want to see. So it's extremely technical. You need to do a lot of groundwork, package yourself and everything, and like preparing for interview is like preparing for an examination. So you can be very well prepared. And by the time you go into an interview, they're asking you questions that you've already seen on the internet, for example. So yeah, so like nothing glamorous. Be ready for rejection and do a lot of like really do your preparation work going into it and prepare for a marathon. At least that's my own experience.
Thank you, Gaby, for sharing your story. I'm really sorry to say this, but I'm super glad that you suffered a lot because because I think like the scholars who participated this session as an audience should know this. Like Gaby is like sitting there like telling you guys some advice, like looks like super like she's pursuing a professional career, blah blah blah. No, she's the same. She she also had to like apply for like hundreds of application to the companies and had the interview and be like rejected. We all have gone through this like suffering process. So yeah, I think it really it helped me relieve my like personal feeling, and I believe that it will also like help a lot of like audience here to relieve themselves. So yeah, and next, maybe Helen this time.
Sure, I strongly agree with Gaby. I think don't deny yourself and don't be afraid to be rejected is super important for me. I also had many failures during job hunting. And for me, the biggest challenge apart from that is that online interview, which should be very common for many of you. So online and interview, both are difficult for me. So in terms of online, I'm still not used to looking into the computer camera and seeing myself while having conversation with other people. It's awkward and uncomfortable. And for job interview itself, it was actually literally my first time to really start to have some interviews. So there was always lack of experience that made me fail many times. And so it's always like a trial and error for me. So during those interview times, as Gaby mentioned, there were failures and there were self-denial, and that was the things that challenges me at that time a lot. So online and interview was a thing that really challenged me. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And Simon?
I think for me, other than I fully echo what just Gaby and Helen said for the actually the obstacles you were facing. For you will have lots of failures, rejections in your job hunting through your after graduation, or you want to change your job. But actually, I think there's one thing you have to believe that you have to know about it, that you actually want to do what you change for me. Is like I spend quite a lot of time to think about what I really want to do, and I spend a lot of time to not chatting only with the Baixian, the friends and the Baixian scouts. I also spend time chatting with the actual people who work in that industry, and you have to believe that the first thing that you can do it, and then you have to put all your actually you cannot be doubting yourself that if I really can do that, am I really feel that? You have to put the first thing to do to complete your goal at first, and then you will be confident and you will be over the all of these obstacles, I think. And the second thing for me is that I actually for this question, I from an engineering background, and you may find a lot of like the people that asking around that, why do you want to do that? Like you spend like more than 5 to 6 years spending in laboratory and spend time to doing that, and everyone around I think there's a lot of these around you, from your friends, from your colleagues, from your professors that will ask about that. Why are you switching to finance? Why are you doing this? Because like they all believe that maybe they call it a sunk cost, that the time you spend on your previous job is very precious, that you shouldn't waste time on your new adventures. But I think that for people that you may work, first of all, you may live for over like 40, 50, 60 years, and the second thing that you will work for over 30 years. Do not like think that the past year to work is completely a waste of time. You may leverage your things, the next job, your next adventure, your next area, sectors. So just do what you want to do. Just believe in yourself.
Sorry, I have to say I 100% echo that. Like taking 1 to 4 years to study is nothing compared to like a 40-year career in an industry. So like 100% echo what Simon just said.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think like we all agree with that statement. And Simon and I are both in finance industry, and as I work here, actually I have seen a lot of people who studied engineering and work in finance. So as a non-engineering major student, I thought that it's kind of common in that that area, that academia. But Simon is saying that it wasn't. So, and then yeah, so it like leads to our last question, which is did your previous experience, knowledge, or skill sets help solving the problem, and how did you leverage them? So maybe Simon can answer first, and then we, we'll go on.
Okay, I will start first, because this is a question we ask about in our interviews. When especially when interviewing with the people who decide to switch to banking from another background. I think first of all, I think for me that engineering background makes me the first thing that you may be very, I think, quantitative. You may be very sensitive to numbers, and this will help a lot in both like the IBD, the finance world, and also the investment industry. And the second thing is that you may have those kind of like the engineering thinking. You may have your you may consider things from more like, I think it's more quantitative way, or you may think it more logic way. But these actually are the answers that we will prepare for the interviews. I think the really thing that matters you may find from your previous job is that problem solving, capability. I think from both maybe the natural science, the engineering, and also you may from the literature, from the law, legal background, from the other, you may face a lot of questions, and how you solve those questions will help. Actually will help you, because I have a lot of colleagues from the art history background, from the just like the linguistic background, who also can be a very good performer in our industry. I think those ability you have brought with your previous job and background is very important. This is my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you. And Helen?
Yes. So for me, I would like to start since I was when I was a student who studied English translation. So for that time, English really helped me a lot to realize that I didn't want to become a translator. And then I also had a double degree in international economy and trade that also let me realize that I didn't want to touch anything about numbers. So that was helpful for me to realize that I really need to pursue something that I really wanted to do, even though it's completely different. That's why I chose to change my future. So I studied my master degree in media design. And after entering the field, what really was helpful is that by doing some hands-on job, I was more like aware of the whole process of making a product, from design to development to management, everything like that. So this really helped me to, it really helped me first of all to change my job, because I could make some good portfolio to appear myself during the interview. And thanks to the online interview, I was able to share my screen and to show those people my work real time, because most of my work is digital. So that was something that really helpful for me at that time for a job changing period. And after that, even after becoming a consultant, I realized that around me, many people don't have the overall hands-on ability. So it's really helpful if there is someone who can tell you, oh, that is not super realistic, things like that. So that was what was helpful for me for my previous job, that's to the current job. Yes.
Thank you. And Gaby?
I think Simon's experience is really similar to my own. If you're worried about not having a specific academic background or like prior similar working experience, I would say it really depends on what role you are going after. There are some roles like maybe like Helen's, where it's very technical and they want to hire like a specialist. So for example, I work with software engineers and data scientists, and I don't know a software engineer who didn't do computer science, and all the data scientists I know have done some sort of like academic data training. So like those are specialists that you really need to have the academic qualifications for that. But otherwise, like a lot of roles are very generalist. Like if it could be some sort of analyst, some sort of consultant, some sort of strategist, so that they're not actually looking for like specific hard skills or like, oh, you've done this exact same job before. But like what Simon has said, they are looking for soft skills like problem solving, critical thinking, communications. Like, can you communicate well with very junior members all the way up to like executive, director, VPs? How you handle stressful situations? Are you adaptable? How you handle ambiguity? What are your leadership skills? Like, how do you collaborate and influence people? So I think a lot of these roles are actually looking for this kind of soft skills. And at least in tech, that's the kind of interview questions that you're gonna get. Like they'll ask you questions like, please tell me an example where a situation where you had to work with several different stakeholders to come up with a product solution. So it's very general ones, and like you can have any kind of like you can bring in your own experience and make it relevant. So that's the first thing. Like a lot of times they're looking for soft skills. Then going to more tactical, like to answer this in a more tactical manner, personal branding is very important. Like when you're going after a specific role, you need to know what they're hiring, what kind of skills they're hiring for, and make sure you reflect all of that in your resume, in your CV, your cover letter. There are keywords in these job descriptions that you should have in your own CV, in your own resume. So like personal branding is very important, like identifying what you bring to the table or what kind of candidate you are. And lastly, like I saw this post like sometime back on LinkedIn where recruiters are saying, you know, if you look at a job description and you fulfill every single bullet point there is, it means you're overqualified. Like, and some people, for example, like studies have shown that men will apply to a job if they fulfill maybe 50 to 60% of the requirements, whereas women will only apply if they fulfill like at least 80% of the bullets. So like going back to what we have said previously, you know, don't deny yourself. Like if you say no to yourself, like your journey ends there. So there are a lot of things you can do. Package yourself, think about all the soft skills that are transferable, and yeah, give yourself a shot.
Yeah, if I had heard this advice before, I would have like applied for many more companies that I have missed. I'm so sad now, but at the same time, I think like from the last question, we could learn the lesson that even though our previous experience is not like highly correlated to our future, it still like helps us a lot. So I think that was the biggest the last question, and that was the end of the main session. And now I want to move on to the Q&A session. I believe many scholars might have their own question to ask, so feel free to raise your hand or just unmute and just start ask question. And if you want to pick a speaker for the question, you may do so. So yeah, I would like to see which participant want to ask any question.
I have one question. Yeah.
Okay, so could you please introduce yourself like briefly and ask the question? Thank you.
Yeah. Hi guys. I'm Dabin Kim from Shanghai Jiaotong University. Yeah, I'm currently majoring in School of Journalism and Communication. Yeah. So for me, so when you guys try to like change your career from like like a career and wait, I don't know why my have an echo in background. So like when you guys try to like apply for new jobs for the new field, like what like and you guys have any like experience before, right, related to the new field, right? Like what did you guys emphasize and what ability did you guys emphasize for the interview for the new job? when you guys don't have any experience in that new field? Yeah.
Yeah, anyone wants to answer?
Happy to to share my 2 cents. Hi Darwin, thanks for the great question. Okay, this is my personal experience. I'm not sure how this resonates with Joshua, Simon, and Helen. What I've realized is that luck plays a very big role, and I received callbacks for the roles that I actually had the least confidence in. The roles that I felt that I didn't meet many of the bullet points, and roles that were exactly transferable. For example, law enforcement response related roles. I never got a callback for those, so that was really strange. The only thing I can say is that if you look at so technically, if you look at the job description, there will be a section that says minimum qualifications, and then a section that says preferred qualifications. So minimally, you need to achieve every single item in the minimal qualifications. At least in tech, that's a legal requirement, and that's if you don't fulfill this bullet, usually the recruiter will just filter out your resume at the first stage. So that's why I did for those that I fulfilled the minimum qualifications, I just went for it, even if I fulfilled very few on not all of the preferred qualifications. And luck really plays a part because all recruiters are different. So every time you come across a role that you're interested in, that you want to pursue, that you fulfill the minimum qualifications, don't censor yourself. Just go for it. That's what I would say. Because recruiters they all have their own habits and their own filters for how they review candidates. And then just to share why I say luck plays a huge role, because in my job at Facebook, the team that I joined, I was the only person with an arts background. So I'm a psychologist / public admin person focusing on security studies. But on the team, my manager was a data scientist. My buddy was economics / quantitative analysis, and then the other 2 people were computer science engineers. So I've always joked that I'm the diversity hire, but I realized that luck plays a very huge role. So don't overthink and don't doubt yourself. So if you fulfill minimum requirements, I would say just go for it.
Thank you so much. And I have one more question. So when you guys apply for a new job, did you guys apply for as a entry level or associate level or senior level, because you guys have another previous experience before, right? But sometimes I feel it's really risky to go apply for entry job. That's the thing I'm curious. What did you guys apply? Which position did you guys apply?
I think maybe I can answer this question, but I think maybe Helen can add more color on this, because she was changing her job after several years of working. For me, is that I apply for the entry level job after I graduated this course, and also for another job. I think if you want to completely change what you're doing, for example, changing. Let me think. You're changing job from finance and to our job, you may want to work at Sotheby's and other area, and I don't think there's many options for you that you have to do to start from zero, because I think it's you may have to think like this, because it's not what you want to do, but what you can do for the new job, right? You just cannot, I want to do something, but you don't know the skills, you don't know the knowledge, you don't know what's actually happening in that industry, and you apply for maybe a more senior job, more senior position, that this is not realistic, right? So I think to set proper goal for your new job is actually to looking for example, if I just switch my job from investment banking to investment, that's a thing I can leverage, right? I can leverage my previous working experience, my financial knowledge, my understanding for a specific industry, so I can kind of like to get a pretty equal position from what I worked before. But if I started like I want to do something, I want to do like internet, or I want to do something like retail in my for my next phase of career, I have to do stuff from quite lower position because I don't know nothing, right? I know nothing. So this is the thing we have to consider. Maybe Helen can add more color on this.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Devin. I think it's a great question. And I also agree with Simon that it should be realistic. Even for the job description, it usually writes down like how many years of experience is required for that particular field. So if you cannot reach the standards, for example, you have 0 experience in that field, and it's really possible for you to achieve a senior level for that because you don't have you don't match the requirements that they ask for. So I think that is pretty realistic. And in my case, my current job is quite related to my previous job, even though the title is different, but the requirement is pretty much what I already achieved. So I jumped from a junior to senior directly. And what I can share with you is a friend experience of mine. She was working in marketing, and she wanted to become a UI UX designer. She already have almost 8 years of experience in the marketing field. But while she was applying for a job as a UI UX designer, since she doesn't have related skills, even though she had a very similar skills, like she knows about SEO, she knows about digital marketing, but the basic requirement is not matched. So what she was doing is to apply for a junior job. So I think for this part, it really take a lot of courage, right? You have to change from experienced level to a junior level. So you should really be ready when you want to change your career path, because you need to start from 0 basically. So that is something that's need to be think twice before done. So that is my sharing.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, hope it helped Devin when it comes to
thank you so much. It was a wonderful answer.
Thank you. And next.
I have a question. Hi,
Okay.
my name is hi, my name is Gaby. Oh, am I muted or not?
No, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. So I think you guys all had the sorry, my dog is barking. I think you guys all had that period when you translate your previous job into like the different jobs. I think the situations are kind of different from me, but I took a leave of absence due to my health issues. So I feel like I'm behind than my colleagues and my friends, and I feel very pressured and I feel very nervous. I don't know. I think I would be unsuccessful because I'm behind. How could you withstand that pressure during the transition period? I just got curious. Yes.
Yeah, I think many students who are preparing to get a job during this COVID period might like feel quite similar feelings. So yeah, anyone wants to answer to this question?
Hello.
Yeah, just Helen over.
Thank you. So thank you for your question. I feel really related to you because I also had a similar doubt. Like it's hard. It's really difficult not to compare yourself with your peers, right? You have always, if your peers are really good, and you always feel you are left behind. And I think that is something that is really unavoidable. Like during the job hunting period, if you look at those people, your friends who are already working in a who are working in a big company, who are seemingly to be successful, and you feel more pressured for that. That is something that I really felt the same way. And the thing is, you should be like a more focused on yourself. That is my advice. So you should focus on what you really wanted to do, and just focus on trying your best to do that. And don't think about those things that would influence you. For me, even though if you think about it, it doesn't really help you to change much, right? It just help you to get into a more vicious circle. So what I did at that time was like in order not to think too much, I took notes of all the interviews that I got. I wrote down very in detail about the interviewers, the conditions, what questions they asked me. And after that, I would practice again, just how to improve my answers to those questions. Because at the end, you would realize that the questions asked are more or less the same. So just focus on practicing the job interview and just focus on what you really wanted to do. If you wanted to pursue a new career that you don't have experience, why don't you try to get some online course about that to learn something? And I think that would really help you to get more confident about the job hunting period. That is my personal advice. Hope it can help you.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I add on to that? Like first of all, Gaby, like thank you so much for being so open. So open and like I love this question. It's super frank. It's like the elephant in the room. Everybody knows that. And you know, you're on a scholarship, you're competitive, like you feel like there's just so much ahead of you and like you're not sure whether you can afford to make that change. I would just say that be very intentional about why let's say you're taking a break or why you're making a job change. Like for you taking a leave of absence for your health, that is so important. Like I don't think you could have made like any other better choice for yourself. Like your health is so important. And like what Helen said, like really just focus on yourself. Like this is really a competition with yourself only. And like be very clear about why you chose to take certain actions, be to take a break, to go and study, or to pursue a certain career. Like at the end of the day, like, rather than think about what other people want or what other people expect of you, like think about what you want for yourself and what's your end goal in end goal in 10 years, like have a short term, middle term, and a long term plan, and then just work towards those goals. Like everybody has different goals. Like I have friends who want to climb the ladder. Some people, they just want work-life balance because family is very important to them and they want to have a lot of children. Or like for myself, I want to travel all around the world. Like I want to work all around the world. So when you think about like in terms of people pursuing all their own dreams, you stop thinking about, oh, like next time I meet with my friends, like I feel bad that, you know, my name doesn't have like my job title doesn't have a director to it or something. So yeah, like be intentional about like what you want for yourself. And I think that's the most important.
Okay. Thank you.
I think I have one more, words to share. Is actually you may hear this somewhere else because, like, I think for you, everybody, I think should remember this. Like, direction is much more important than speed. You have to find the right direction, or the fast or slow is just a relative term for your. You don't have to compete with anyone on your own life, right? But for me, like I think pressure or the peer pressure or the anxiety is actually a good thing because it keeps you like think about this, right? So if you lost pressure, lost like anxiety, you will end up like just living every day the same day. You don't have any of the ambitious, but don't let it conquer you. Don't let it take you as someone else. You think about where you are going. And how long does it take for you? You don't have to compete with anyone. There's no like championship. There's not a league. There's not a match. There's not a context with anyone around you. You just yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, think about it. I mean, like we four have chose to choose another direction. So,
Yeah, thank you for that was wonderful. Thank you.
yep, thank you. And next question, please.
Hello, if I may, if there's no one else.
Yeah,
My
sure.
name's Yu. I graduated from Waseda, and can everybody hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
And thank you. Thank you for the great talk from the panelists. I just have a question that because I see all of you have made a great accomplishments in your life, in your careers, but I just wonder, also echoing with the direction and speed comparison that Simon just mentioned, is there any mistakes, like big mistakes that you've made along the way? I just want to know that because I think that allowed me to learn more from your experience and maybe avoid such mistakes or get to know that maybe mistakes don't always lead to miscalculations and or maybe like regarding mistakes, what's the best advice that you can give to your junior professionals? Thank you.
Yeah,
Maybe
thank
I
you for
can-
the question. Yeah, Simon,
Yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
thank you, Yu, and thank you, Joshua. Maybe I can answer this question first because I think maybe move to Shanghai is the biggest mistake I've ever made in this year because I've locked up for like, I think 41 days today. So, maybe I have a very long hair and just, locked up at home. Maybe this is one of the worst thing I have ever tried. But like, that's a joke actually. I think for me, it's like mistake, because like, I think basically for all of us, all the three, all the panelists and also the moderator here, we are all basically in a relatively early phase of our career, right? So, I think recently, because I've locked up at home, so I, think a lot. Because recently, if you consider in the longer term, like in 5 or 10 years, then nothing really is a mistake, right? You may try different things. This different thing will teach you different things, and you may have different experience, and that will help you, more like know yourself, right? People will know more about him or herself only in some advanced like the situations. But for me, I think I do have some mistakes in my not maybe something I really regret with in my second year or third in my career, because like I didn't really when that time I know investment banking is actually the thing I want to do, but maybe I started with not actually a very global bank for what I firstly working for a Chinese bank right in Hong Kong. So I think maybe I should move for more global bank to continue my career. But I wasn't well prepared for the time. I tried a lot of times, and after like 6 to 8 months failure, I gave up. I think I should like try further more months in my previous like firm. But actually that was a mistake, because if I tried, if I prepare like harder or like get more preparations, I may have very better opportunities in my earlier phase of my career. But that maybe lead to another kind of situation, because maybe I'm in Hong Kong right now. I maybe work for another investment bank, but not the the investment firm right now. So I still don't know. That is a relatively, I kind of regret for that, but I'm not sure if that is really a mistake for me or not. But I think for me, the lesson I learned from that kind of thing is that you have to prepare, you have to prepare for everything you want to do, to prepare well, and then to do the things and to make it more like a higher chance of winning. Or you will end up with like 6 to 8 months like failure or in nothing. That is my 2 cents.
Thank you.
And Gaby, Helen, like, do you have anything to share or not?
I can share a little episode of me. I think as I mentioned, it was literally my first time to do real job interviews, to do real job hunting last year. So I didn't realize that I would act in that way during the job interview. So many times it happens to me that why I answered the questions in that way. How come I didn't understand what the speaker was talking about? There were so many panic moments, and there were so many regretful moments during the job interviews. And it was those things that gathered the failures for me. And I think that was really important to, as I mentioned, to take down notes about all those things that you need to be careful about. Thanks for the Zoom interview environment. You can actually put on stickers to your computer to write down the things that you should be careful about. For example, for me, the biggest sticker that I put just next to the camera is that don't interrupt. Don't interrupt the interviewers while they were explaining things like this. So for me, I think that was the failure and some upset moment, and that is the advice that I would like to give you if you feel the same sometimes. Thank you.
It's a nice tip. And yeah, Gaby, I think Gaby has nothing to share, right?
But I want to be mindful of time. I know we're at time, so yeah.
Okay. So yeah, maybe we can move on to the next question. Yeah.
Thank you.
Liu Yu Meng from Waseda.
Yeah. You can call me Lee as well if you like. So I'm Lily from Waseda University. Thank you very much for the three guests share experience. Learn a lot from you guys. And I personally want to ask Helen a question because I kind of in the same period when Helen in her like college, like you mentioned you want to change you change your like major from translation and economics to design, right? Media design. And I'm thinking about this change right now. Actually, I'm a economics student, but I didn't really get any ideas. I didn't really do any design, but just draw a little bit myself. But I do have a passion or like interest in design from my like middle school years. And I look a lot and I, look at the design websites and, but I didn't really start that because I'm nervous. I'm not sure whether I can do that, or I'm kind of nervous about using digital tools to do design. I really enjoy looking at them, but I don't know how can I do that? So I'm really want to ask you, when you first decide to like change your passion and change your way, and for me, and maybe when you do the translation, you didn't really have any ideas about design. So how do you start? And do you have any like suggestions or advice for me? Thank you very much. By the way, I love your smile.
Thank you a lot. This is such a great flatter. Yeah, I can resonate myself a lot with you. For me, I also didn't I didn't really study art or drawing or anything like that since before I entering my master degree in media design. And the reason why I wanted to change to this field was, first of all, I was into anime. I like manga, so I really love drawing. I like to just drawing out those anime stuff. And then I realized that I really hate when things get very chaotic. Like, that sometimes for the presentation slides, if it looks very unorganized, it makes you feel very, very upset. Something inside of you is shouting out that this is not right. I wanted to change. So that is the thing that helped me to realize that this is a field that I wanted to pursue. And in terms of any basic skills, there are so many availabilities that you can try out online. That is the thing that I would suggest. There's so many online courses about design, UI, UX, which is it's not that difficult to enter into this field. All you need to do is just to follow those instructions and start by creating layouts and putting colors that you like, adding things, and do it freely. Just try out to see if you really like it, and to see if you are really confident with doing that. Try it a little bit, maybe start for 1 or 2 months to see if you like it or not. If you really realize that that is the thing I want to do, that really helps you to realize help you to think that time just flies so fast while I was creating something. If this happens to you, then I would really recommend you to pursue to this field. And just there's so many things online that you can try freely. Just go ahead.
Thank you very much. So yeah, so but when you trying to change your path from like translation to design, and you have to apply for the master degree, but so you do the you try yourself or learn yourself, and then do the like design thing, and to show you have the capability to apply for the master degree, right?
Exactly. So for that time, it was also a trial for me. I didn't really know what the basic line that they require for me to enter that field, right? I don't have.
Yeah.
That is the thing.
Exactly the same with me.
Yeah. But what you need to, I think it's not about the job, but about applying for your study for the next level. The thing is, you need to show your passion that you wanted to study in this field, and be honest to list up what you think you can do, what you think that you really want to do if you enter this field. And that is a thing that can help you. And for me, my suggestion is that don't apply to something that requires a lot of skills, drawing skills. You cannot. And for me, I think it's really hard for me at that time. If I would apply for art school, they wouldn't let me in for sure. So just KO University, welcome.
Yeah, actually, I'm looking at this program. Yeah, I know the KO programs in like media design. Yeah.
If you need any other advice about that, you can always talk to me later.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Wimo, for asking great question. Now I want to get one last question, maybe from a male scholar, because only female scholars have asked questions. So is there any guy who want to ask question to us? I can wait maybe for a couple of seconds. Don't laugh, Agnes. Okay. Yeah, I think you can just end up the session by now. I think we all have witnessed the Baishan community's unique culture, which is like embracing, and hugging, our friends. And I really, really want everyone to, try our best to keep this culture, so that we can, always help each other to become a better person. So thank you, speakers, Gaby, Simon, and Helen, and thank you all for participating for this session, to all audience.